Hello and welcome to this walkthrough on exporting a project or a application slash game from Unity into or onto an iOS device for testing purposes as far as functionality. This is in no way a walkthrough on how to publish any application or how to navigate the App Store whenever, the things you need to know about the App Store in order to publish. It is also not an overview of the rules for publishing anything to the App Store. Those I will leave for an exercise for the viewer. It should be noted that there are rules and regulations for or guidelines, I should say, for things that applications should have whenever you're publishing. But again, that is not something we're going to worry about here. We're also not going to worry about the more advanced settings, and there will be some errors that pop up, and we're going to ignore them because those are things that you would really fix if you were looking to actually publish this. This is just for how to get it to your device so that you can test it. Now, this kind of excludes the fact that you can use Unity Remote to actually do testing as far as the control system for any applications that you have. I'm going to go into the App Store and we'll take a look at this. Unity Remote. Well, that's strange that I would not actually have did they rename it? Strange. Unity Remote. It's just strange. Alright, so here it is, Unity Remote. It says here allows you to use an iOS device to view and test your game live right inside the Unity editor. So what this will allow you to do is hit play inside of Unity, and if you have on-screen controls or you have touch controls enabled, to control what's going on in the scene view from your device. Now, the caveat to this is that the resolution that you actually see on the screen for your device will not be clear. As a matter of fact, it will be very blurry and ugly. So while you can test some of the functionality as far as getting input into your application, you really can't visualize what it's going to look like in the end because of this just for lack of a better term, blurriness that you will see. Also, if you don't have it hooked up to Unity, you won't be able to do any testing. So each time that you want to do testing, you would actually have to have your device plugged into your computer and have Unity running and then controlling it with your device. Now what we want to do excuse me, is to actually export this project and transfer it over to your device so that you can run it just on the device, and by doing this be able to test your application anytime you want, independent of it being actually hooked up to your PC or your Mac in this case. Alright, there are some things you're going to need for this. Now, the first and foremost, so I don't waste anyone's time here, if you're using a Macintosh and you have one of the standard 120 whatever gigabyte SSD drives that come on the MacBook Airs, you probably don't have a lot of storage space. Now, you probably, I don't want to say you want to quit this video now, but unless you have plenty of space, you're not going to want to really bother with this, because there's a program that you need offered by Apple free of charge, and it's called XCode, and you absolutely have to have this program to be able to export it to a device. I'm going to go ahead and go into my applications, and we'll go down to the bottom. We'll find XCode. It's in reverse order. Weird. Alright, let's take a look. Xcode is 9.71 gigabytes, and this is excluding the fact that you need to download it first and then install it. So to even install this, you're going to need about 20 gigabytes free. Now you can download Xcode, transfer it over to some external drive or a USB drive or whatever, and then install it from there. But you're going to need some storage space to be able to pull this off. Now, if you have if you have the room, if you have the space, great. But if you don't, there's some workarounds as far as moving things here and there, and deleting some stuff. But you have to have Xcode. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Okay. Now, to get Xcode, you would just open the App Store and type in Xcode. It's available for all OS X versions. Apparently, I need to update mine. I'm not going to do this. Once I have one that works, I stick with it. So if I've downloaded a few versions and screwed some things up, and then have to re-download it, and I don't want to do that. So go over to inside of the Xcode section, and yours will say download. You'll download it, install it, whatever. It's free of charge. And this is a preview of what Xcode will look like. So here's the icon for Xcode. I'll go ahead and click that. And welcome to Xcode. Get started with a new project, check out an existing project, etc. and so on. This is a new installation, so I don't have any of my previous projects loaded up here, but it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this video. Some of the things with Xcode, and not just some of the things, this program is very, very robust. And it's easy to get discouraged whenever you first get into it, because there's a lot of stuff in here, and most of it, not most of it, but a lot of it, you never are going to touch. There are simulators. You have iPhone simulators in this. Let's go ahead and just open up this test program, okay? And whenever I click up here, I can see where exactly I'm going to test this on once I hit the play button. It's very similar to Unity in that regard. If I hit the play button, it's actually exporting this over to my iPad right now. And I don't need to unlock it. I don't want to do that. But I can say, for example, go over and I want to run a simulator on iPhone 6s Plus, hit play, and whatever my application is, it's going to actually open this iPhone 6 emulator running iOS 9.2 currently. It's booting up. This virtual phone is actually booting up. As weird as that sounds, it is true. Alright, so this is what the application would actually look like. And let's say I go do my home button, and you can see, I can open up the watch application, etc. and so on. Let's go back to the home button. And let's zoom this out so it actually looks like the phone. Alright, so this is my little test application, and it's nothing, okay? But let's go ahead and change that. Go ahead and quit the simulator. I'm going to quit Xcode as well. And let's say we have this program built inside of Unity, and we want to take this over and test it in Xcode, and then export it over to my iPad and test it out there. So first thing we need to do is we have to make sure that we save our scene. We have a saved scene, not just a bunch of stuff thrown together, although this is just a bunch of stuff thrown together. And we're going to go over to the build settings. Now, the first thing we need to check is which platform we're building for. Now, obviously, we're not building for PC, we're not building for Mac in this instance. If you do build for Mac, you will still have to do all of these. Well, you have to download XCode and everything for Mac as well. There are some other programs you can build for Mac though. Linux, we're not worried about Linux. We're worried about iOS. So we'll go ahead and click this button, switch platform. It will re-import any assets that it needs to. I don't think this will take very long. So we'll go ahead and just let it finish. Alright, so everything's re-imported. You can see the difference in the shadows. We can see all this stuff gets re-imported. Playmaker pops up again. Go ahead and close that. Now, first thing we need to do is say inside of our build, what scenes do we want to include? Now, this scene is called Anim Girl, so we'll go ahead and throw this one over here. And that's the only scene that I have, so that's the only one I'll keep. Alright? So, we can see here running Xcode as debug or release. Right now we're going to only worry about testing, so we'll just choose debug. We'll just check development build. It doesn't really matter if you check this or not, it just enables some profilers to open automatically, but we're not really going to be working with anything with the complexity to actually need to do any profiling. With your personal projects, if you have any, I'm sure this will change. I invite you to check out the difference between the development build and the release builds at your leisure. That's not the concentration and beyond the scope of this video. So it's going to ask me where I want to save this once I click build. So I'm going to choose my document folder and I'll make a new folder called builds, and we'll save this as Anim. And it'll start building this out, and what it's doing right now is building an XCode project. Now, XCode is not the only way to get an application installed to an Apple device, but it is the only legal way as far as I know. Could be wrong on that. I've never actually researched that, but I do know that there are hacked Xcodes out that you should not trust. You should not trust them. If it's not directly from Apple, do not trust it. Alright, so let's go to a new Finder window and let's go into that Documents folder. And let's see, Builds, Anim. And the one that we want to open is right here, Unity iPhone XCode project. So we'll go ahead and open that up. That's our XCode project file. And right now we can test this out. I'll have to wait till it finishes indexing, apparently. Now all of your libraries, all of your stuff is going to be included here. Inside of the XCode project. All of your stuff from that is included inside of your scenes will be carried over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and select this iPad and hit play. Now probably, yep, this is going to throw up an error, and this is the thing. First of all, this is not good. I'll have to change this, but here's what it's talking about with no provisioning profiles. To be an Apple developer, you must register as an Apple developer, and only Apple developers can actually send a build, a legal build, over to their devices for testing purposes. Now, this is not difficult to set up. What you need to do is just go do a search, Apple developer sign up, and the first link that comes up under developer.apple.com, click there, and when you first go there, it's going to ask you to register and blah 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 with your Apple ID. It used to be you would have to pay $100 a year just to test your well, you got to actually test, and you got to submit things to the App Store. But as of, I think, a year ago, from the filming of this video, they allow you to actually do testing on your device without paying that fee first. So that's pretty cool. So what you do is you just go sign up to be an Apple developer, and after you do that, you can go sign into your developer account. Okay, I already agreed to it, yeah, go to my account, blah, blah, blah. So it'll ask me to download tools, you have build your first app, you can go and build your own app inside of XCode if you want. And you want to definitely join the developer program. And you want to enroll. You want to sign up for the free one just for testing. You're enrolling as an individual. Start my enrollment. This is a new account that I made just for this. Okay, that's great, that's great. I'm going to stop here, and I'll just do this later. You can go through this on your own time. Let's go back to Xcode. Now, the problem here is I haven't set up any of the settings, and this .com.company.product name is the default value for some key settings. So what I want to do, and let's see if I can remember where to go. Let's see. It's been a long, long time. Okay, here we go. Yeah, just select the Unity iPhone here, and you want to go ahead and change this. My company will be Anime Girl Enterprises. Should be an E. My product name is Name Product. Very original. Team, well, you need to have your provisioning profiles. Now, whenever you guys go sign up for your developer account, it's going to ask you if you want to install a provisioning profile on your devices. And what this is it's actually registering your devices with a certain developer account, which is your account, with Apple. You're registering with Apple to say, okay, this device, I'm going to use it to actually do testing on applications for my developer membership. Okay? Now, I have two teams. This is my actual, this is the one I made just for this. And you just click and say which team you're going to add this to, which once you make your account, you only have one anyway. So I'll go ahead and select that. I'll Click Fix Issue, and everything looks good. So now I'll click Play. It's going to run through and get a bunch of cautions, I'm sure. I haven't set up a splash screen. I haven't set up and say I don't want a full screen layout. Yes, I understand the startup disk is almost full because of this video, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up and we'll be finished. Alright, build has succeeded. Copying over to the iPad mini. I have to unlock my iPad. Alright, let me stop this because I lost connection. I'll hit play again. Alright. And what is the thing called? I can't remember the name. Photo booth. Well, I guess the photo doesn't work. Well, alright then. Well, I can tell you now that it actually is running on my iPad. Not sure exactly why my camera is not working. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, clear up some space, and try to fix this. Alright, for lack of a better option, I'll just include a photo of this playing on the iPad. You can see the development build in the bottom right hand corner of the picture. And see that this is pretty simple actually to get this to export over to your device. It just takes a little bit of time in getting it set up. One thing that you do need to make sure is you change the bundle identifier to be something that's not so abstract and basic as the default settings. Obviously, if you start a game or you start a company, you want to include your company name for each bundle identifier. And this is essentially so that if you publish this to the App Store, who you are and that this app was made by you can be verified. Alright, so that wraps this up. This is how you can very quickly and very easily, well, that's a relative term in this case, but one thing I do need to mention is here the development or the deployment target. You need to make sure that you select the iOS version that's installed on your device, or just drop it all the way down to 6 or 7. So, and you can also make this only work for iPad, iPhone, or if you want it to be both of them, there you go. Okay. You can also choose which of the orientations you'll allow or disallow. And there's other things you can go down here and check out. Okay. Alright, so that wraps this up. I hope this clears up any doubts you had about getting any applications out of Unity 3D and onto your device for testing purposes. I hope you found whatever you were looking for. If you're from my course, if this did not cover what you were expecting as far as you have a PC and you're trying to get it to an iOS device, it's not going to happen. If you have a Mac and you're trying to get it to an Android device, essentially you need to follow the PC to Android, and instead of downloading the PC downloads that I have in that video, just download the Mac ones. I'm talking about the Java Runtime Development Kit and the Java SDK. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch that video. Okay? Alright, have a good night, evening, morning, whatever time it is for you. Bye.